page and the entire Facebook Live event is available on our new website, WSTU1450.com. Just click on the News tab at the top of the page. The good news for patients with cholesterol trouble is that there are new drugs that can help. The bad news is good luck getting approval from the insurance company. Dr. Seth Baum is a cardiologist in Boca Raton. He says he and his colleagues have noticed health insurers tend to deny access to these new drugs. Well, he says he believes Medicare patients have a higher approval rate because the program has oversight. He says it appears that insurance companies are using a balance sheet to tell doctors what they can and cannot do. For the first time in 70 years, the Census Bureau is planning to ask residents about their citizenship. That has immigration advocates like John Yang raising the red flag, saying both illegal and even legal immigrants may be afraid to return the forms. The Commerce Department is accepting comments about the question through today. Failing to respond could lead to less federal funding and underrepresentation in Congress. A final decision isn't expected until early next year. A 28-year-old Central Florida man faces a slew of charges after Port St. Lucie police said he had more than 330 images of child pornography in his possession. Aaron Michael Williams of Titusville was arrested August 2nd after a 9-month investigation that stemmed from a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children cyber tip line. Police said Williams faces 333 counts of possessing child pornography and 15 counts of electronically transmitting child pornography. Williams was arrested and taken to the St. Lucie County Jail. He's being held on a bond of more than $3 million. And it wasn't immediately clear why the Titusville man was arrested here in Port St. Lucie. Summer gas prices have been rising and falling by the day, and AAA's Mark Jenkins says the combination of demand and fluctuating oil prices are behind the volatility. For now, the lowest gas prices in the state are around the Bay Area at $2.66 a gallon. The most expensive is just to our south in the West Palm Beach, South Florida area. That's a look at our Treasure Coast news here this morning. It is 7:28.
7:28. Hi, Dennis. Hi, Pat. What's that? It's another nasty mailer from Belinda Kaiser attacking our own Gail Hill. Well, I don't believe a word Kaiser says. Well, Kaiser doesn't live anywhere near here. That's right. Kaiser lives 80 miles away in Broward County. You know, it's Kaiser's donations to Hillary Clinton and Al Gore that bother me the most. And Wasserman Schultz. Kaiser supported their liberal agenda against President Trump. For amnesty against the Second Amendment. Belinda Kaiser is not who she claims to be. Kaiser is fake news. Gail Harrell has lived here a long time. Harrell understands our issues, and Harrell stands firmly with President Trump. Build the wall, protect the Second Amendment, and stop the discharges to save our river. Right. Gail Harrell is the real conservative. Gail Harrell is the real Republican. Paid on action earns communication paid for by Make America Great Again. 133 South Harbor Drive, Venice, Florida, 34285.
Well, right now we don't see any accidents out on the roads to report. And if you see an accident or a slowdown, let us know at 220-9788, 220-WSTU.
Erosu Cleaners is celebrating its 30th anniversary with second-generation experience and expertise. Hi, I'm Brooke. Mom, Uncle John, and our whole staff is ready to assist you for all of your dry cleaning and laundry needs. Call 971-4779 for your valet service. We can pick up and deliver to your home or office. Call 971-4779. Voted your neighborhood favorite on the Treasure Coast. Arosa and Town Country Cleaners.
Treasure Coast.
Stewart 75 and WPTV weather brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Roofers who respond. Code Red Roofers cares. Calls you back, shows up and finishes on time. Call 287-2829. Let's hear more at WPTV.
Rain chances will slowly decrease through the morning hours here on the Treasure Coast, but isolated rainfall is still possible. And as we get to the afternoon hours, chances for rain will be lower across the whole area. But isolated rainfall still possible moving from east to west, and our inland communities have a higher chance of seeing some afternoon rain than along the coast. High temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s, partly sunny skies, the heat index around 100 degrees, and winds a little breezy out of the southeast. I'm WPTV Storm 5 meteorologist Glenn Wiz of WSTU 1450, Martin County's Heritage Station.
It doesn't matter whether it's an active hurricane season or not. A unique Florida environment takes a toll on your roof. Code Red Roofers are the roofers who respond, no matter which weather event affects your home or business. Code Red Roofers in Stewart is there for you. Call Code Red Roofers at 287-2829. That's 287-2829. Whether your roof's metal, tile, shingle, or a flat roof, Code Red Roofers has you covered with a roof that carries manufacturer warranties up to 25 years. Call the roofers who respond today. Code Red Roofers, 287-2829, 287-2829 for Code Red Roofers. Financing is available. Se habla español. Be sure to visit their website, CodeRedRoofers.com. Serving the entire Treasure Coast. Code Red Roofers, the roofers who respond.
Strategies and solutions. Your bottom line with Johnny D, host of Bucket Strategy Investing. Several years ago, a federal law was passed that was designed to curb abusive consumer bankruptcy filings. Among the provisions is a complicated means test that determines whether you would be allowed to file a Chapter 7 or more restrictive Chapter 13 proceeding. Under Chapter 7, your assets are liquidated and distributed to your creditors. Chapter 7 filers then are released or discharged from many of their debts at the completion of their case. Under Chapter 13, you get to keep most of what you own, but must file a plan to repay your creditors over 3 to 5 years. If your income is above the state median income, you'll be required to file under Chapter 13. This law makes it harder to get out from under car loans, student loans, and credit card debt. The law mandates credit counseling before bankruptcy can be filed, and that a personal finance management plan be put into place before a bankruptcy is complete. For more strategies and solutions, watch Bucket Strategy Investing online at wealthhead.com. At Lucia Capital Group, we believe there are 3 critical steps that should precede making any investment decision: education, advice, and planning. Education: learn about available options and expand your understanding of investment products. Advice: get guidance from experienced financial planning professionals who you feel understand your specific needs. Planning: choose a strategy that consistently supports your investment decisions. Where should you go for financial guidance? Lucia Capital Group invites you to build your wealth education at wealthed.com. Wealthed.com features live and on-demand video programming featuring Lucia Capital Group advisors who will help educate you about investing, give guidance based on years of experience in the financial services industry, and help you build a strategic plan that integrates your investments. Wealthed.com, the site dedicated to wealth education. Wealthed.com. Securities offered through Lucia Securities LLC, member SIPC, and a subsidiary of Lucia Capital Group, a registered investment advisor. All investments are subject to risk, including loss of principal.
Treasure Coast anglers know the best place for the best fishing gear is the Snook Nook on Indian River Drive in Jensen Beach. The Snook Nook is well stocked with live and artificial bait, an endless supply of rods and reels, the best places to get your line wet, and what lures to use to hook a big one. For all the top brands like St. Croix, Abu Garcia, Shimano, and Penn Fishing, call the Snook Nook 334-2145. Open every day because fish do not sleep.
Take a pause.
You may have heard the horror story Greg Manteifel of Wisconsin went through, coming down with a blood infection so bad his hands and legs had to be amputated. Doctors believe that infection came from getting licked by a dog. His wife is named Dawn.
It hit him with a vengeance. It's just bruising all over him, like somebody beat him up with a baseball bat.
Doctors say Greg's infection was 1 in a million. Chances are slim that you could come down with anything like it. Not so rare are infections from dog and cat bites. About 14% of all dog bites and 80% of cat bites are believed to produce an infection. PetMD says if you're bitten, get to a doctor. An infection from an animal bite needs to be treated with antibiotics fast. And here's hoping Sweet Tart the cat of Michigan is more of an administrator than a biter. She's been elected mayor of the small town of Omena. No, we are not kidding. Take a pause. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Fox on Tech. It's almost like a scene from Home Alone.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Amazon's Alexa is going to get a new skill for home security, but it won't have the virtual assistant keeping an eye on your home. It will instead fill it with the sound of people. When you launch Away Mode, you'll get one of 7 audio tracks that will play for about an hour or so. The tracks are created by comedy writers from Saturday Night Live, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and the Upright Citizens Brigade. The overheard conversations include a book club meeting where no one discusses the book, a mother walking her daughter through assembling IKEA furniture over the phone, and even a stay-at-home mom getting upset about a board game. The concept for the chatty Alexa came from insurance startup Hippo Insurance, which told TechCrunch that you can turn it on, leave, and a potential burglar will be scared off by thinking someone is still at home who is absolutely insufferable. You can find this and many other Alexa skills on Amazon's website for the device. With Fox on Tech, I'm Brett Larson, Fox News.
Everybody's talking at me.
Are you among the millions of Americans who feel uncertain when it comes to their health care? We're happy to inform you that there is a solution, and that solution is Liberty Health Share. It's a community of like-minded people who work together to pay for the medical costs. You choose your doctor and hospital, starting at $199 a month for a single, up to $529 a month for a family. That's mom, dad, and all kids. For more info, visit libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org. WPFL 1590, WSTU 1450, and Lanigate 1330 with percent primary election coverage. Tuesday, August 28th from 7 to 11 p.m. Join WSTU News Director Mike Thomas together with political expert Casey Ingram, former Port St. Louis Councilman Jack Kelly, Carol Wyatt, Barry Grant at the Martin County Election Center, and Cliff Desmond handling you too. Tuesday, August 28th. Join us, your Treasure Coast family of talk stations, from 7 to 11 p.m.
Taking a look at sports, the Marlins recovered from a disastrous weekend in Philadelphia with a win over the St. Louis Cardinals yesterday down in Miami. Miami scored first. They got a run in the bottom of the first. They made it 2-0 with a home run in the bottom of the fourth. Then they held on. The only run for St. Louis came in the top of the ninth. Miami scoring 2 runs there on 8 hits, holding the Cardinals to just 1 run on 7 hits. Elsewhere, there were a lot of shutouts. The Rockies shut out the Pirates 2-0. The Yankees shut out the White Sox 7-0. And the Indians shut out the Twins 10-0. There was at least one competitive game yesterday, though, and it was so competitive that they decided to go an extra inning, then 2 innings, then a lot more than that. David Peralta for the Arizona Diamondbacks hit his second solo home run of the game off the top of the wall in the 14th inning as the Diamondbacks rallied from a 2-run deficit in the 9th to beat the Philadelphia Phillies 3-2. In the Dolphins training camp, the latest update from there, the offense continues to just absolutely sputter. Kenny Stills and Danny Amendola each had a drop during 11-on-11 drills. Isaiah Ford dropped the pass as well. And then backup quarterback Brock Osweiler had a really cold day yesterday. He was just not looking all that good and even threw an interception to quarterback Taviz Calhoun, who the second-year player from Mississippi State that's been playing pretty well during camp. That was his second interception so far of training camp, and he also recovered a fumble. Rookie kicker Greg Joseph rebounded a little bit. He had struggled during the early part of camp with his accuracy, but he was 6 for 6 yesterday with a 61-yard field goal included. That's a look at sports here on WSTU.
I'm Ron, the Magic Bubbles Pressure Cooker. I belong to the Martin County Business Bureau, more than 60,000 units for good service and fair prices. Whether it's for you, your house, or your office, get online at bigbiz.us. You'll find local businesses you can find with quality, service, and fair prices. bigbiz.us, Martin County Business Exchange. It's just good business.
Well, let's go to Toyota Studios at WSTU. It's Mike and Bonnie in the morning.
Oh, man. Computer just froze.
The White Dog Foundation of Martin County presents College Football 2018. The Miami Hurricanes open Sunday, September 2nd, hosting the LSU Tigers on WPSL. The Gators kick off against Charleston Southern on September 1st, followed by Michigan and Notre Dame at 7:30 on WSTU. Florida State kicks off Monday the 3rd against Virginia Tech at 8 on WPSL. College Sports 2018 is brought to you by Treasure Coast Lexus and Fort Pierce, Treasure Coast Toyota of Stewart, Code Red Roofers. He's there serving the Treasure Coast for decades. Hoskins Circle, One Boyd, and Magic Bubbles Pressure Cleaning of Stewart.
In the California desert, they found bones of a prehistoric porpoise. And they're saying it's interesting because this porpoise's upper jaw sticks out a lot further than his lower jaw. So I figure he's got to look like. And they're already trying to figure out if this upper jaw was used for like mating or catching fish. I'm thinking, what if it's just a goofy looking fish? You know, like a dork fish. He's like, oh, this ain't the ocean. Woo! I better find me some water. Because can you imagine if you were fishing and you caught a dork fish? Because you know your friends would be like, hey, man, what kind of fish is that? You'd be like, oh, nothing. Because you know that fish would stick his head out of that bucket. I'm a dork fish. He called me a corn dog. Be pretty cool if they sold them at pet stores. Because you know they say pets always look like their owners? It's like you go over to your friend's house, hey, Buford. What kind of fish is this? Dork fish? I'm just fixing to feed him. What do you feed a dork fish? Corn dog?
An Amish man in Michigan recently started a horse and buggy ride-sharing service that he is calling Amish Uber. Said his family, how do you know what Uber is?
Now, as many of you know, this weekend Trump also used Twitter to attack LeBron James's intelligence after watching his interview on CNN. But the next day, First Lady Melania Trump's office released a statement defending LeBron, citing his work with children and schools. Now, that's something you don't see on the Sports Center highlights very often, the First Lady dunking on the president. Although it makes sense, it does. Melania and LeBron, they have a lot in common. You know, they both know how to handle a big orange ball of air.
Trump was very busy this weekend. On Saturday night, he spoke at a rally in the auditorium of an Ohio high school. After listening to his speech, the school's English teacher was like, be in my office Monday morning. Okay? So that's it, not a word. I thought that during the rally, it seemed like it was pretty hot inside. I don't know if you saw this. Take a look at what Trump said about it.
It is rather hot. Here's the good news. You walk out, you lose about 10 pounds, and you said, that was really very good. That beats going to a gym, right? It's hot. So much for my brand new beautiful suit.
Yeah.
It's getting hot in here. Take off all of your beautiful suits. I love Nelly.
It is August 7th, the National Raspberries and Cream Day.
Oh, you know what, Mike? I was looking online. There is an incredibly easy recipe called Raspberry Fool.
Raspberry Fool?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's so easy that you just get your frozen raspberries and you unthaw them and then you mash them up.
Okay.
And it was called like raspberry fowl because fowl means like you're mashing things, but
Is that the bird?
But they call it raspberry fool. But you mash up those raspberries,
I'm interested.
and then you add some sugar, and it's so easy. Then all you got to do is add your heavy cream and whip it and blend it. And they put it in little bowls, and it's beautiful. It looks like the raspberry ribbon is even, like a ribbon flowing through the cream. And it's your option too to add maybe a raspberry liquor or maybe something sweet like a peach schnapps.
Okay.
You want to add a little liquor to it too.
So you just eat it you eat the mashed raspberry and the cream and the sugar right out of the bowl, or do you put it in stuff?
Well, you can put it in a bowl. Now that's something I would look further into because I bet it almost would be delicious, like if you wanted to make layer cakes and put it as a layer maybe in a cake. I bet that would be pretty good. I'll have to look into it.
I guess raspberries are in season right now because in the past week we've had raspberry in cream day today.
Yeah.
Last week was raspberry cream pie day, and right before that was raspberry cake day. It's got to be raspberry season.
It has to be, and I bet if you go to like any of the flea markets, maybe if you go to something like Nelson's Fresh Farms, you'll find some raspberries that are in season. I talked to a fellow yesterday that had just been out there recently, and I think he found some very good fresh Georgia peaches out there recently.
I used to really like going out there to the farm. It was on my way home from work, and I could just swing in on Sunday, coming back from the radio station, and get all of the veggies and fruit that we needed for the week. And I would have a big cart full, and it'd be like $7.
Yeah.
I mean, it was dirt cheap, and the stuff was good. And they were doing crazy sale on corn. I was getting like 7 ears of corn for $1.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it was ridiculous. And then we moved, and it's just far enough out of the way that I don't go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I did. I enjoyed going there. I enjoyed going out and hitting those farms. It was a lot better than doing the produce section at the grocery store.
It's nice. Well, all you have to do just take a Rosso out to St. James.
I know where it is.
In the 25th. You
That's
can
not
get
the
out
point.
there like really fast.
I don't know. It's far enough out of the way that
I know.
kept me from going.
I know. I like going out there too to go to the White City Park and walk around once in a while. That's a beautiful park.
Yeah, and I know they've got a bunch of those farms all over the place. They're becoming more popular now, and I did enjoy it. It was kind of nice to walk around and be like, I don't know exactly what I'm going to get. I'm going to just see what's fresh and what's on sale, and you know that if it's there, it was going to be good.
Oh yeah, and then the smell of the produce just gives me a high.
Yeah.
Like on the ride home, I love the way it makes the car smell, and I can just stick my nose inside the bag and go and take a big whiff of the vegetables. It smells so good and fresh.
Yeah. There was somebody who talked to a guy over at Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream who works as a, quote, flavor guru. What a job, right?
I know.
They asked him how to avoid brain freeze when you're eating ice cream. And his best tip is extremely simple. He said, turn the spoon upside down.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder what that would do.
Well, brain freeze happens when something cold touches a bundle of nerves on the top of your mouth near the back.
Oh, the top of your mouth. That makes sense.
So turning your spoon upside down helps because it allows your tongue to heat up the ice cream a little bit before there's any direct contact with that group of nerves. Of course, that doesn't help with something like a Slurpee, though, because you're just sucking that up through a straw.
Mm-hmm.
But they've also got 3 quick ways to get rid of brain freeze. They say this is weird, I'm not doing this in a public place. Press your thumb up into the roof of your mouth to warm the nerves back up.
Oh yeah, that's going to look real pleasant.
I've always heard the tongue trick. I didn't know why. I didn't realize it was because there's some nerves there that you're trying to warm up, but I've always heard if you've got bad brain freeze, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and press. They say breathe with your hands cupped over your mouth, which uses the heat from your breath to warm the nerves back up. And the other thing is the obvious, drink something hot. You can have a hot drink ready to go, or you need to have a hot drink ready to go for that one, though. So this is really if you suffer from chronic brain freeze, but you need that ice cream, which if you've got Ben & Jerry's around, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, if you can, about Ben & Jerry's, try to be a little patient too. Maybe, instead of rushing into and taking a big chunk of that ice cream and just kind of like be patient and maybe let it
Melt?
thaw and
Let it melt?
get
What are you
a little-
talking about?
A little bit melty for a while if you like it a little bit melted, like I do.
I know some people that like that. My stepmother used to do that. She would put the
Yeah.
ice cream out on the counter for like 15 minutes before she would get at it, and she wanted it nice and sloppy.
I even like it if I'm eating like a Snickers bar in the hot weather and that chocolate starts to melt.
That's gross.
I just like it.
Ben and Jerry's was BOGO over the weekend, so we went and stocked up on it a little bit. I got the
Wow.
pistachio flavor. Oh, that's
yeah.
a good time. The pistachio flavor is delicious.
That does sound very good. And oh, you know what ice cream I got the other day? I went to Culver's and got the white custard. I got a whole pint of it.
I haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Culver's yet. What level of food are we talking about there?
We are talking about a level of kind of
Compare
like
it to another restaurant.
comparatively, I want to say maybe compared to Five Guys.
Five Guys.
Burgers, because the burgers are very, very good and very big. Kind of
Five Guys is also expensive.
Yeah, maybe comparatively to maybe almost like a Steak and Shake too.
All right, now I would not compare Five Guys and Steak and Shake at all.
Okay.
To me, they're totally different levels.
Maybe it's more like compared to a Steak and Shake, because
More like a Steak and Shake?
I don't think the Five Guys sells any ice cream or shakes that I know of.
I'm not talking about what the menu compares. So I was just saying like a level of restaurant. Like, you know, you've got those different levels.
Like a Steak and Shake, and then they also sell cheese curds. It comes out of Wisconsin. They started it in a town in Wisconsin, and they have what's called the Butter Burger too. And they're basically just these huge, delightful burgers that it's kind of like fast food, but more than fast food, you're going to pay a little bit of a higher price.
That sounds like Steak and Shake. Kind of like fast food, but a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like Steak and Shake. 7:51 is the time here this morning. We've got Treasure Coast News coming up next.
Are you having a difficult time deciding where to buy jewelry, authority with advertising?
I like the burgers a lot at Steak and Shake. I think
Oh, yeah, they're good.
I like it better than Culver's.
Well, let me help you. Just because of
Yeah, Culver's didn't look all that interesting.
sources guarantee you the best possible.
But I saw their custard, and the custard looked so good.
Was it good?
Yeah, that was good. I said,
Randy's not calling in this morning. He just texted me and lost his voice.
oh my God, did you get a cold?
We were even challenged by the industry watchdog about outplaying of wholesale to the public, and we won hands down. Nobody sells for less. Wondering about our pre-owned jewelry? If it's not perfect, we melt it. We then remount the diamonds in brand new designer settings, and they're graded by our GIA certified and accredited staff. Locally owned and operated since 1994. Check us out on the web and read our Google reviews. St. Lucie Jewelry is in Port St. Lucie across from the Civic Center on US 1 at Wall Road in the Publix Plaza.
The Marlins host the St. Louis Cardinals Monday to Wednesday, Friday and Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. The Marlins host the Mets on WSTU. The New York Mets on WPSL play Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Friday night at 10. It's the St. Lucie Mets traveling to Clearwater. Adam McDonald has a call. That's Marlins and ESPN Baseball 2018 brought to you by Treasure Coast Lexus of Fort Pierce, Treasure Coast Toyota of Stewart, Code Red Roofers, He's there. And the Quid Dog Foundation of Martin County on both WPSL and WSTU.
Taking a look at our Treasure Coast News here this morning as parents get their kids ready to go back to school and teachers get ready to meet their new students. The St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office is getting ready for the start of the new school year as well. WPTV's John Shaman reports.
State lawmakers earlier this year requires an officer in every school throughout the state. So this week here on the Treasure Coast, those officers are getting prepared.
The visibility that you provide.
This is the beginning of a full week of training for this year's class of school resource officers and deputies in St. Lucie County.
We are ready.
Sheriff Ken Mascara says this year, 63 members of law enforcement will be stationed at county schools, up from 23 last year.
We want teachers to be able to go to school and teach and not worry about protecting kids from an active shooter. We want students to go to school and worry about good grades, not guns.
Deputy Jose Angulo is moving to a new role after 5 years on the job.
It's very important for us to be in the community, be there at the schools. I want the parents to feel at ease that we're there.
As a sign of enhanced cooperation among local law enforcement, for the first time in decades, Fort Pierce police officers will also be in city schools.
It means a lot. It's great. It's a great first step, and we're happy to be a part of it.
Officer Fabio Improta says he's a father of two and understands there's a lot to learn.
The message is clear. We're there to protect your children. Okay. When any parent drops off their child, we want to make sure that they know that they're safe.
We need these partners to come forth, be a part of us in schools, because what they're going to witness in schools, what they're going to hear in schools, is what is going on in the community.
Now, in St. Lucie County, there will be 2 officers at all of the high schools, like here in Port St. Lucie, starting next week. John Shaman for the Now, South Florida.
It's important for parents to make sure that their kids are up to date on their shots before school starts next week. In St. Lucie County, all kindergartners, 7th graders, plus new and transferring students must provide proof of their immunizations. A Florida Certificate of Immunization, Form DH-680, is the only document accepted by the county. The forms can be obtained through the Florida Department of Health or your primary pediatrician. For more information, head over to stluciecountyhealth.com. That's your Treasure Coast News at 7:56.
You've heard a load of this election. Well, the biggest loader.
No traffic or weather.
Pushed to dump 40 million pounds of human waste near the St. Lucie River. A paid lobbyist overdosed with profits from dumping human excrement right next to our river. Toby Overdose Plant is a real floater. Visit badbiologist.com for more info. Paid electioneering communication paid for by Bill Trump's Wall, 8725 Northwest 18th Terrace, around Florida 33172.
Shop now for your new Lexus from Treasure Coast Lexus. Shop now if your current lease is coming to an end. Come take a test drive in a beautiful new Lexus today, like the sporty 2018 Lexus IS 200T. Take it home and pay just $279 a month. Choose the 2018 Lexus ES 350 or maybe the NX 300, both with payments as low as $319 a month. Don't miss great lease offers on America's safest vehicle, the 2018 Lexus RX 350. Lease it now and pay just $439 per month. All leases are for 36 months with 10,000 miles per year with approved credit, plus tax tag and $39.99 due at signing. Be sure to stop by Treasure Coast Lexus and see the all-new 2018 Lexus LS 500. Come take a test drive and experience the Treasure Coast Lexus difference. Experience amazing. Treasure Coast Lexus, US 1, south of Midway Road, Fort Pierce. Online at treasurecoastlexus.com.
If your investments aren't making enough, listen to Online Trading Academy Radio. Expert investors tell how they pick investments that make money in up, sideways, and down markets, and how they limit risk on all trades. Listen every weekday at 10 a.m. or hop in the car and get to Online Trading Academy for a free sample half-day lunch and learn class in Port St. Lucie. Call now, 561-674-9800. 561-674-9800.
In Coffin Grove News on the Southeast.net, I'm Abby Taylor. According to Citrus Research and Development Foundation President Larry Black, bactericides have not shown positive results against HIV. Southeast AgNet's Ernie Ness discussed these research findings with Black.
The data was presented today from the grower survey, growers that volunteered to leave sections of their grove or separate blocks without the application of bactericides. The RDS staff went out and measured yield over the last 2 years, and unfortunately, there was no positive response from the bactericides. The caveat is the use pattern that the growers use. There's so much left to be learned about bactericides, particularly the spray application, that unfortunately there wasn't positive news to report.
There were some positives on the side of the treatment and some actual yield declines, but with bactericides, correct?
Exactly. The statisticians tell us it's just not significant statistically that there's no positive response using the statistical measures that they evaluated the data with.
You're a grower, of course, yourself. Do you continue to use bactericides?
We have continued bactericides through this spring, but in light of this data, we have ceased bactericide applications. Look forward to new innovations, either alternative delivery mechanisms or other learnings that we can add bactericides back into our program. But no, in light of this data, we're pulling bactericides out of our program.
For Southeast AgNet, I'm Ernie Ness.
The 27th Annual Citrus Expo is set for August 15th and 16th at the Leeds Foods for Fort Myers, and we're excited to expand the program this year. Professional and specialty crop growers to join this largest event of its kind in Florida agriculture. Don't wait, growers. stores. Pre-register now at citrusexpo.net and be eligible to win a John Deere gun safe from Everglades Equipment Group. Citrus Expo, sponsored in part by Syngenta, makers of Menacto Pro insecticide, Plant Food Systems, Hardman Associates, and Citrus Saver. Get the details and pre-register now at citrusexpo.net.
I'm Abby Taylor, for Southeast Jackson. You're listening to WSTU Sports.
Good night. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. New sanctions on Iran. The Iranian nuclear weapons program, its ballistic missile program, its support for terrorism, its belligerent activity in the Middle East have to stop. National Security Advisor John Bolton, the sanctions have been lifted by President Obama, but the U.S. is no longer part of the international nuclear deal. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Referring to the reimposed sanctions, the president tweeting these are the most biting sanctions ever imposed, and in November they ratchet up to yet another level. Anyone doing business with Iran will not be doing business with the United States. The latest round of sanctions target the Iranian auto industry, gold, and silver. In addition, Iran is now prohibited from using U.S. dollars, the primary currency, for international financial transactions. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the transactions will remain in place until Iran's regime makes what he called an enormous change. Dave?
Paul Manafort's ex-partner will testify against him again today. The former Trump campaign chairman's trial.
One of the first things that Rick Gates told the jury was that he did break the law.
Gates says they filed fraudulent tax returns. He was already pleaded guilty to lying to investigators in the special counsel's probe.
The Manafort defense team has long planned to attack Gates' credibility by accusing him of going rogue and embezzling money from his boss, Paul Manafort. But Gates just beat them to it and admitted to stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from his former boss by submitting false expense reports.
Austin figured Lucy outside the court in Alexandria, Virginia. People will vote in 5 states today. Primaries in Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington. And Ohio. There's a special congressional election. 2 wildfires emerged in Lincoln, Mendocino County, California. Now the biggest blaze in state history, 443 square miles.
What can you say? It makes you sick to your stomach.
This is Fox News. Fair and balanced.
It's the Ford Summer Sales Event, and now a selection of best, it's the best time to buy. With amazing offers across the
WSTU.
Ford vehicles. Now is the time to
Hey, welcome back.
Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by a local Ford store.
We've been gone for like 3 months, right? That's what it felt like.
Because there is no better time than right now to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales.
Awesome. Well-deserved vacations for sure. So let's see, what are we looking at here? Got your email. So... Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so kind of like if parents have kids that are walking or going to school, they can look along the route. Okay. Perfect. That sounds great. Very topical. So hold on. We'll be coming to you in just a couple of moments.
Destination for British tourists and visitors from other countries, but the continuing aftershocks have prompted an exodus from the airport. Some of those leaving were injured not just by debris, but in the stampede to escape. Thousands of people packed beaches waiting for the military to coordinate boats to take them away from the epicenter. But thousands more whose homes have been destroyed have nowhere to go, including children who've been in the care of the charity.
That's Sky News' Ian Woods. A transgender student in Indiana has won a bathroom battle in courts.
A federal judge ordering an Indiana school district to allow the transgender male student to use a male bathroom. The injunction signed just days before classes resumed in the Evansville Vanderburg School District. The 17-year-old student sued after he was told to use the female bathroom or bathrooms in the nurse's office. He says his rights were violated. School officials had said the student could use the male bathroom if his birth certificate was changed. But the ACLU of Indiana says the student was born in a state that won't do that unless gender reassignment surgery takes place. They say the team is under a doctor's care
fees have also been rising today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio. It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
When you hear, most people just hear an engine. When you hear a 6.2-liter heavy V8 with a supercharger that accelerates so fast, it'll suck the air out of your lungs and knock you back in your seat like you're an astronaut in a rocket ship halfway through the stratosphere. But then again, we're not most people. We're the Brotherhood of Muscle. Dodge. Domestic. Not domesticated. Dodge is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Martin County and St. Lucie County, we take a look at the roads. Everything looking good right now, including if you're getting on the major highways. You're going to have a nice ride there. Call if you see traffic at 220-WSTU.
Treasure Coast with
76 right here in Stewart. Let's get more from Glenn Glazer at WPTV.
Rain chances will slowly decrease through the morning hours here on the Treasure Coast, but isolated rainfall is still possible. And as we get to the afternoon hours, chances for rain will be lower across the whole area, but isolated rainfall still possible moving from east to west. And our inland communities have a higher chance of seeing some afternoon rain than along the coast. High temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s, partly sunny skies, the heat index around 100 degrees, and winds a little breezy out of the southeast. From WPTV Storm Team 5 meteorologist Glenn Glazer, WSTU 1450, Martin County's Heritage Station.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Pat. What's that? Oh, it's another nasty mailer from Melinda Kaiser attacking our own Gail Harrell. Well, I don't believe a word Kaiser says. Well, Kaiser doesn't live anywhere near here. That's right. Kaiser lives 80 miles away in Broward County. You know, it's Kaiser's donations to Hillary Clinton and Al Gore that bother me the most. And Wasserman Schultz. Kaiser supported their liberal agenda against President Trump. For amnesty against the Second Amendment. Melinda Kaiser is not who she claims to be. Kaiser is fake news. Gail Harrell has lived here a long time. Harrell understands our issues, and Harrell stands firmly with President Trump. Build the wall, protect the Second Amendment, and stop the discharges to save our river. Right. Gail Harrell is the real conservative. Gail Harrell is the real Republican. Election and communication paid for by Make America Great Again, 133 South Harbor Drive, and Explore to 34285.
.808 here on this Tuesday morning, and that means it is time for Martin County Sheriff William Snyder 411, where we get the very latest on what's going on with the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Now, Sheriff Snyder is out once again this morning, but joining us on the phone lines, we have Public Information Officer with the Martin County Sheriff's Office, Christine Weiss. Good morning, Christine. Excellent, fantastic. Absolutely, that starts on Monday. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bring on the pumpkin spice lattes. I'm ready for them. Ah, mm-hmm. We're speaking with Christine Christopher Weiss, PIO with the Martin County Sheriff's Office. School starts on Monday, and some great tips on how to make sure that everybody has a safe and as easy as possibly can be start to the new school year. And I certainly know from a traffic perspective, one of the nice things about being at work by 6 a.m. is I don't have to deal with the morning traffic anymore with the schools. But I remember I used to have to go right by a school, and those first 3 days would be a madhouse. And then things would kind of level out and go back to normal. But the first couple of days were always crazy. Mm-hmm. And there's some great tips that you gave on keeping parents to keep their students safe as they're walking to and from school. And the one thing I thought of, or I was thinking of, is there a good app to maybe download? Because I know a lot of kids have a cell phone nowadays, and if your kid has a cell phone, I'm sure there's an app you could put on it to kind of keep tabs on where your kid is. Is there something that you can? Perfect. Mm-hmm. Yes. Absolutely. Great advice. We're speaking with Christine Christopek Weiss from the Martin County Sheriff's Office. Christine, welcome back. Nice to settle back into the flow of things. And we always appreciate when you give us a call on Tuesday mornings, and we look forward to speaking with Sheriff Snyder next week. You too. Martin County Sheriff's Office 411 here on WSTU. Christine Christopek Weiss joining us on the phone line there with some great tips on the start of the school year and keeping your students and your kids safe as they travel to and from school, plus a lot of other great tips. We're going to have more on the start of the school year in our newscast. One of the big issues in Martin County the last couple of months have been the bus routes. The Martin County School District made a decision earlier this year to do away with the bus routes for students who live 2 miles or closer to their schools. And that has caused a lot of confusion. Parents are upset, worried about their students, worried about their kids having to walk through areas that they might believe would be too dangerous for their kids to have to walk through to go to and from school. Confusion over whether parents live 2 miles away from their school or not. And students, if they had a bus route last year, are grandfathered in. So there could be a situation where you've got 2 kids going to the same school. They live in the same household. One is an older brother, let's say, who's in the 3rd grade, and he was bused to that school last year. So he would be grandfathered in. He would be able to take that bus route, but maybe a younger brother would be coming in, going to kindergarten, and that person would not necessarily be eligible for the bus route. So there was a lot of confusion, and a Q&A was held last night by the Martin County School District on Facebook Live. We're going to have some sound bites from that, and the entire Facebook Live event is up on our website, WSTU1450.com. You can go there, click on the news tab, and check out that entire video and links to find out if your home is considered to be within 2 miles of a school or not. We've got a lot of other news stories we're going to get to as well. That's all coming up next here on Mike and Bonnie in the Morning.
That would be like a mess for some parents. What a messy situation.
You know, when I was in elementary school, we lived right on that 2 mile bubble, and I used to ride my bike and walk every day. And that's not necessarily true. My grandparents would drop me off in the morning, and then I would bike home, and my grandfather would pick me up somewhere along the route. But sometimes I would come all the way back home, and it was never an issue. But I didn't have to cross any highways. It's not like I had a Canter Highway I had to cross. A Port St. Lucie woman was stung by a poisonous caterpillar while at a local park. She spoke with WPTV's Megan McRoberts to warn others to be watchful.
That she was sitting on this bench over the weekend watching her child play when she says a poisonous caterpillar likely either fell from a tree overhead, or she says it might have already been on the bench where she was sitting when she said her arm suddenly started burning. She looked down and realized she had been stung. At Whispering Pines Park in Port St. Lucie this past weekend, we just came out to play. Tara Forbes was underneath an oak tree watching her son on the playground.
My arm was out on the bench like this. I thought maybe I was just getting a little bit of sunburn.
But the burn became excruciating and quickly turned into joints and bone pain.
And I looked down and I had black and white fuzz here and white fuzz on the inside, and it just immediately felt like fire, almost somebody took a flame to my skin.
The fuzz, she said, came from a pus caterpillar like this one.
My arms swelled up from my fingertips to my shoulder, up into my neck, and even into my chest here.
She later became dizzy and nauseous and hurried home. Tara is a nurse, her husband a firefighter. They were able to take care of her at home, but she says others should heed her warning.
I think if this happened to my son or somebody else's child, they should go directly to the ER because it was very painful.
Knowing that the pain was this bad for her.
Children are so much smaller, so it could affect them much worse.
More than 24 hours later, she still feels sore. She's telling her story so parents will talk to their children.
I think it would be good for other parents just to be aware that when you're enjoying the outdoors like we did, these things could happen, but know to, seek, medical help immediately when it does happen.
And after hearing Tara's story, a city spokeswoman tells me that city crews did come out to this playground to look for these poisonous caterpillars. They said they did not find any, but they will be back out to give it a second look. They say they do check daily at all city parks for any potential hazards. Reporting in Port St. Lucie, Megan McRoberts, WPTV News Channel 5.
The Martin County School District held a Facebook Live Q&A last night where they answered parents' questions about bus routes for the upcoming school year. The Q&A was in direct response to a decision made in March that would have canceled bus routes for over 1,100 students. But students who rode the bus last year are grandfathered in, and that is causing confusion and anger over the new plan. So Superintendent Lori Gaylord last night tried to clarify. Mark Coco is the school district safety manager. He was asked how parents can tell if they're considered to be within 2 miles of their kid's school or not. Well, a link to that webpage and the entire Facebook Live event is available on our website, WSTU1450.com. Just click on the news tab at the top of the page. The good news for patients with cholesterol trouble is that there are new drugs that can help. The bad news is good luck getting approval from the insurance company. Dr. Seth Baum is a cardiologist in Boca Raton. He says he and his colleagues have noticed health insurers tend to deny access to these new drugs. Well, he says he believes Medicare patients have a higher approval rate because the program has oversight. He says it appears that insurance companies are using a balance sheet to tell doctors what they can and cannot do. For the first time in 70 years, the Census Bureau is planning to ask residents about their citizenship. That has immigration advocates like John Yang raising the red flag, saying both illegal and even legal immigrants may be afraid to return the forms. The Commerce Department is accepting comments about the questions throughout the day. Failing to respond could lead to less federal funding and underrepresentation in Congress. A final decision isn't expected until early next year. A 28-year-old Central Florida man faces a slew of charges after Port St. Lucie police said he had more than 300 images of child pornography in his possession. Aaron Michael Williams of Titusville was arrested August 2nd after a 9-month investigation, and all of that stemming from a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children cyber tip line. Police said Williams faces 333 counts of possessing child pornography and 15 counts of electronically transmitting child pornography. Williams was arrested and taken to the St. Lucie County Jail. He's being held on a bond of more than $3 million. It wasn't immediately clear why the Titusville man was arrested in Port St. Lucie. Summer gas prices have been rising and falling by the day, and AAA's Mark Jenkins says the combination of demand and fluctuating oil prices are behind the volatility. For now, the Bay Area average is one of the lowest in the state at $2.66 a gallon. That's a look at our Treasure Coast news here this morning. It's time for the Precious Metals Report, brought to us by St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin. Gold's opening at $1,213.30 an ounce. Silver's opening at $15.40 an ounce. The Precious Metals Report brought to us by St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin.
Treasure Coast, Toyota Studios, it's Mike and Bonnie in the morning. Treasure Coast Toyota, South Federal Highway, Stewart.
Are you having a difficult time deciding where to buy jewelry or bargains with advertising? You know by making the wrong decision about a jewelry store can cost you a lot of money. Well, let me help you. Just because a chain store claims that buying from a source is guaranteeing you the best possible price doesn't mean it's true. St. Lucie Jewelry buys their diamonds and jewelry from a secondary market. That's from the states, trusts, attorneys, and the public. We buy about 30% below the wholesale market and then sell to you at legitimate wholesale prices. We were even challenged by the industry watchdog about outplaying of wholesale to the public, and we won hands down. Nobody sells for less. Wondering about our pre-owned jewelry? If it's not perfect, we melt it. We then remount the diamonds in brand new designer settings, and they're graded by our GIA certified accredited staff. Locally owned and operated since 1994. Check us out on the web and read our Google reviews. St. Lucie Jewelry is in Port St. Lucie, across from the Civic Center on US 1 and World Road in the Public Plaza.
And on the roads right now throughout Martin County and St. Lucie County, we don't have any accidents. Jumping on your major highways, those are going to be clear. Side streets, we don't have any accidents to report. And if you see traffic, call us at 220-9788, 220-WSTU.
Celebrating its 30th anniversary with second-generation experience and expertise. Hi, I'm Brooke. Mom, Uncle John, and our whole staff is ready to assist you for all of your dry cleaning and laundry needs. Call 971-4779 for your valet service. We can pick up and deliver to your home or office. Call 971-4779. Voted your neighborhood favorite on the Treasure Coast. Arosa and Town and Country Cleaners.
Treasure Coast Web.
Port St. Lucie 77 and WPTV weather brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Roofers who respond. Code Red Roofers cares. Calls you back, shows up and finishes on time. Call 287-2829. Let's get more on our forecast at WPTV.
Rain chances will slowly decrease here on the Treasure Coast, but isolated rainfall is still possible. And as we get to the afternoon hours, chances for rain will be lower across the whole area. But isolated rainfall still possible moving from east to west. And our inland communities have a higher chance of seeing some afternoon rain than along the coast. High temperatures, the upper 80s and low 90s, partly sunny skies, the index around 100 degrees, and winds a little breezy out of the southeast. On WPTV Storm Team 5 meteorologist Glenn Griggs with WSTU 1450, Martin County's Heritage Station.
It doesn't matter whether it's an active hurricane season or not. A unique Florida environment takes a toll on your roof. Code Red Roofers are the roofers who respond, no matter which weather event affects your home or business. Code Red Roofers in Stewart is there for you. Call Code Red Roofers at 287-2829. That's 287-2829. Whether your roof's metal, tile, shingle, or a flat roof, Code Red Roofers has you covered with a roof that carries manufacturer warranties up to 25 years. Call the roofers who respond today. Code Red Roofers, 287-2829, 287-2829 for Code Red Roofers. Financing is available. Se habla español. Be sure to visit their website, CodeRedRoofers.com. Serving the entire Treasure Coast. Code Red Roofers, the roofers who respond.
Well, we've got Randy Siegel's space report normally in this spot, but Randy is feeling a little under the weather here this morning. So we will be back to normal with the space report hopefully tomorrow. But in the meantime, I want to talk about Ellie's Downtown Deli and Catering, portions of Mike and Bonnie in the Morning, of course, brought to us by Chef Mark Muller and the staff over there at Ellie's Downtown Deli and Catering.
Made full of chocolate. And Mark has pies too, including creamy ones like a coconut cream pie, creamy peanut butter pie, and some creamy Oreo pie too today. Chef serving it up at Ellie's Deli. And also sink your teeth into maybe like a fresh jumbo wrap, including a buffalo chicken wrap with the oven roasted chicken tossed in buffalo sauce with ranch or blue cheese, cheddar, tomatoes, and lettuce. Order it today or pick up at Ellie's Deli in Stewart.
Yeah, and if you want to find out what their daily specials are over there at Ellie's Deli, just hop on over to their Facebook page, facebook.com/Ellie's Downtown Deli. Around 10:30 or so in the morning, they post what their 3 specials are, plus their 2 soups of the day and all of their desserts, including their giant half-pound cookies that are available for you. They're the size of your face. You got to get one of them if you're having lunch over there at Ellie's Downtown Deli. So head on over to Facebook, like them there, follow them there, find out what you want to eat for lunch, and then head on down to the restaurants located at 18 Southeast 6th Street, just off Colorado Avenue in Stewart. And don't forget about their fancy dinners coming up. There's another one this Friday night at the Harbor Ridge Yacht Club and Marina. Chef Mark Muller and the staff, this isn't just deli food that they're bringing to you Friday night. This is going to be a gourmet dinner. You're going to have some amazing options to choose from, like tuna tartare as an appetizer, or soup and salad, entrees like a chicken pesto risotto, or Caribbean surf and turf tacos. You have to make reservations for these. Dinner is going to be Friday night at the Harbor Ridge Yacht Club and Marina from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. So give Ellie's Deli a call today to make your reservation, 772-781-6605, and tell them you heard about it from Mike and Bonnie in the Morning.
Caribbean surf and turf tacos.
Mm-hmm.
Those sound pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
No matter where you are in the business life cycle, the Florida SBDC consultants at Indian River State College have real-world experience and expertise to help you make sound business.
Somebody had a recipe online last night for Philly cheesesteak stuffed shells.
Oh, yeah. That sounds good.
You gotta try some of these.
Growth and expansion. Whether you're an existing business or you're finding your entrepreneurial spirit for the first time, the Florida SBDC at IRSC can help you with that success. For more information on the Florida SBDC and how you can take advantage of this no-cost business assistance program, call 336-6285 or visit irscbiz.com. That's irscbiz.com. And come on in, and we'll help you create the business that you want to see succeed.
Online Trading Academy are certified, currently trade, and are profitable. They show you how they invest every day. Call now for a pair of tickets to a free half-day class at Online Trading Academy. Classes are all over Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Jupiter, and Port St. Lucie. Call Online Trading Academy now. 561-674-9800. 561-674-9800. 561-674-9800.
WPFL 1590, WSTU 1450, and Latigate 1330 will present primary election coverage Tuesday, August 28th from 7 to 11 p.m. Join WSTU News Director Mike Thomas together with political expert Casey Ingram, former Port St. Lucie Councilman Jack Kelly, Carol Wyatt, Barry Grant at the Martin County Election Center, and Cliff Desmond handling YouTube. Tuesday, August 28th. Join us, your Treasure Coast family of talk stations, from 7 to 11 p.m.
Taking a look at sports, the Marlins rebounded from a disastrous weekend in Philadelphia. They came back home and defeated the St. Louis Cards 2-1 yesterday. The Marlins scoring 2 runs on 8 hits in the matchup. One of very few competitive games in baseball. There were 3 shutouts. The Rockies shut out the Pirates 2-0. The Yankees shut out the White Sox 7-0. And the Indians blanked the Twins 10-0. Of course, the most competitive game of them all was the Diamondbacks hosting the Phillies. That game was so close. After 9 innings, they decided to play a couple of more. David Peralta finally ended it when he hit his second solo home run of the game off the top of the wall in the 14th inning. And the Arizona Diamondbacks rallied from a 2-run deficit in the 9th to beat the Philadelphia Phillies 3-2. Football training camps roll on, and for the Dolphins, the offense has struggled throughout the entire training camp. Yesterday was no exception. Kenny Stills and Danny Amendola each had a drop during 11-on-11s. Isaiah Ford also dropped a pass during practice, and backup quarterback Brock Osweiler ended up throwing an interception to cornerback Devise Calhoun, who stepped in front of that slow developing pass. Now Calhoun, who's a second-year player for Mississippi State, has been having himself a fantastic training camp. He's now pulled down 2 interceptions and recovered a fumble. Elsewhere, rookie kicker Greg Joseph has rebounded a little bit from some of his struggles over the weekend. He was 6 for 6 yesterday, including a 61-yard field goal hit in practice. That's a look at sports here on WSTU.
When I'm asked if I know a local business that is good for this job or that service, I recommend a member of the Martin County Business Exchange. Local companies I count on for good service and fair prices. Go online at www.mcbiz.com. Local businesses you can count on for quality, service, and fair prices. McBiz.com. Martin County Business Exchange. It's just good business.
Treasure Coast, WSTU. It's Mike and Bonnie this morning. Treasure Coast Toyota, South Federal Highway, Stewart.
My wife's father passed away 15 years ago. I never got a chance to meet the man, so we go to the cemetery. Now, prior to his death, he bought a plot for himself, a plot for his wife. Well, the wife has since remarried. Okay. So, we go to the cemetery, and I'm holding my wife's hand. It's a very emotional day for us. Well, for me, listen, I gotta be honest with you. I'm the emotional one in the relationship. I cry, no problem. Undercover bottom, forget it. I'm bawling at the end of that show. Oh my God. So we go to the cemetery. I'm holding my wife's hand. We approach the 2 graves. But the other side of my brain kicks in. I said, is your mother still gonna get buried here with the original? Or is she gonna get married with the new husband? What's going on? Because this is paid for. It's paid for, and Who's going in the hole? We gotta figure this out. I'll hop in here. In the meantime, we gotta use this maybe for storage. We'll put the Christmas tree here. A rake, skis. We gotta use this.
Russia announced that actor Steven Seagal has been named a special cultural representative between Russia and the United States. The announcement was released directly to DVD.
The Russian Foreign Ministry posted this on Twitter. Steven Seagal, who is a Russian citizen, has been appointed as a special representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry in charge of the hashtag Russia-US humanitarian ties. It's amazing. Between Donald Trump, Dennis Rodman, and Steven Seagal, our foreign policy is now being dictated by the guest list for the grand opening of a Planet Hollywood in 1991.
I saw that President Trump is now on vacation at his New Jersey golf club, and he won't be back in the White House until August 13th. You can tell Trump was excited to get away. Check out what he was saying before he left. Watch this.
Vacation, boy, I never want. Vacation, have to get away. Vacation meant to be spent alone.
NFL season's right around the corner, and that means that our Pick'em League is right around the corner as well. And so it's time to start thinking up what your team name is going to be, what your group is going to be called, what we call you on the radio. And USA Today has put together a list of the 15 best 2018 fantasy football team names that they've come across. Well, at least the best ones that were fit to print. There's some good ones on here. So if you're looking to dust off your replace the name that you've had for the last couple of years, like I've been using Badonka Gronk for a couple of years for my various fantasy football teams. I think it's time to upgrade. Maybe you can find one on this list. One of my favorites is Garoppolips Now, which is Jimmy Garoppolo and Apocalypse Now mashed together. There's a Song of Fire and Geis, Darius Geis. And the Game of Thrones books, The Song of Fire and Ice.
Oh, that is very cool to use. Didn't you use kind of a Game of Thrones one last year? I thought you threw one like that in there. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I don't remember. I actually don't remember what mine was last year. But Geis is right. Continuing on with that. With a name like Darius Geis, there's so much you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But the Geis is right was a good one. Geis Baby. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
A Kiss from a Rosen. Josh Rosen and Seals A Kiss from a Rose. Saquantum Leap, Saquon Barkley, running back for the Giants in the Quantum Leap show.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love Quantum Leap back in the day. Back with Dr. Sam Beckett, leaping from life to life.
That's been off for a while. What was that, in the 90s?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Trying to put right what once went wrong and hoping each time that the next leap will be the leap home. One of the saddest series finales I've ever seen, Quantum Leap. Because it says specifically, the whole show's about him trying to go home, and the last thing you see in the show is Dr. Sam Beckett never makes it home.
Oh, that
Come
is very
on.
sad.
Why do these shows have to give us a sad ending?
That's very sad. That reminds me of one of the last episodes, too, of NYPD Blue, when Kim Delaney's husband, the deputy there, was on his deathbed, dying of a disease. That was it was very graphic when he was in the hospital room. It was just, they showed it very graphic and hard to watch.
I like this team name, Easy Drake Oven.
I love that.
Dolphins running back Kenyon Drake.
That is my favorite.
Baker Mayfield's Forever, which is Baker Mayfield and Strawberry Fields Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Spice Girls and Todd Gurley. Lights Kamara Action, the Saints running back Alvin Kamara.
Oh, that's cool.
The Nervous Birds, which is a reference to Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh, who advises players not to eat chicken because, quote, it's a nervous bird. And if you just want to be a troll, you can do Foles Beat Brady for one of your fantasy football team names there.
I might use Make Me Your Brady instead of Make Me Your Baby.
I also like Hooked on a Thielen after Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Little BJ Thomas there.
We need to get Bama Red on the horn. We need to see if we get the Pick'em League all fired up and ready to go for this year. and dust that off, and then we can start putting the link up on our new website, WSTU1450.com. Make it a lot easier this year to get people involved, because previous years we had to have people give us a call or send us an email so we could send them the link and the password and all that stuff, and now we can just plop it right on our website and people can do it on their own power. I think that'll help out a lot, and it's always a lot of fun to get the Pick'em League going, and I'm terrible at it. A lot of people are terrible at it. A lot of people are decent at it, but it's wide open. I think it's anybody's game. Usually we've got some great weekly prizes, a prize for the end of the year. Even if there wasn't any prizes, it would still be a lot of fun. And it makes the games just a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and it's like if you're not interested in football, maybe a way to get involved and get excited about it is to actually get in a league like this, which is so easy to do. That way you're following the teams and the teams that you choose and maybe learning a little bit more about them too each week. It's a fun learning thing.
Yeah, so we'll have more information on that as we get closer to the season. I finished up season 2 of Glow on Netflix. I love that show.
Yeah.
It's a really good show. It's about the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, which was a real thing back in the 80s. And this is a dramatized version of that. It's set in the 80s, so you've got the nostalgia elements of it. And I just think it's a good story. And one of the main characters, her wrestling name is Liberty Bell. She's kind of the leader of the Glow TV show.
That's a great name for a lady wrestler.
Yeah, and she's all about freedom and the American way and things like that. But there's apparently a woman in real life whose real name is Liberty Bell. She's a 35-year-old woman who lives in Southwest Illinois. Her name's Liberty Bell. And she does not hold the same values as the Liberty Bell from the Glow TV show, which is all about truth, justice, and the American way. She, the real-life Liberty Bell from Southwest Illinois, can't stop getting thrown in jail. Back in March, she was arrested after she locked herself out of a stolen car. Not the brightest bulb in the shed, apparently. Then, while she was out on bond, she was arrested in June for stealing a March of Dimes donation jar. That's cold-blooded.
That's just terrible.
Now she's in trouble again for beating up her public defender. Right before a court appearance on Thursday, she attacked the woman who was supposed to represent her. The woman ended up with a few scrapes and a pair of broken glasses, but ultimately she's okay. And I guess she is very dedicated to her clients because she actually got the cops to charge Liberty with a misdemeanor when they could have charged her with a felony. So even though she got beaten up, she was still able to go to work for her client and get them to reduce the charges.
Well, that's a big lady for you. Liberty Bell, too. She better just stay up there in Illinois. She can stay far, far away from us.
Yeah, sounds like a bad apple there. Robert Redford announced he's retiring from acting, effective immediately. His last movie is called The Old Man and the Gun. It's described as a crime comedy, and it hits theaters next month. And Robert Redford said in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, quote, "Never say never, but I pretty well concluded that this would be it for me in terms of acting, and I'll move towards retirement after this because I've been doing it since I was 21. I thought, well, that's enough. Why not go out with something that's very upbeat and positive?" So Robert's turning 82 years old in 2 weeks, and this isn't a rash decision. 2 years ago, he said he was working on 2 movies, The Old Man and the Gun, which is about to come out, and Our Souls at Night with Jane Fonda, which came out last year. And even back then, he said that those were going to be his last 2 movies, and he was going to call it quits after those. At the time, he said he was, quote, getting tired of acting. He doesn't know if he's retiring from directing, but he hasn't directed a movie since The Company You Keep in 2012. And I imagine you're getting older, you're in your 80s, you're going to be 82 years old in a couple of weeks. Do you really want to take on the responsibility of directing a movie? Wouldn't it be easier to act? And if you're tired of acting, you're probably going to be tired of directing as well.
I would think that the idea of getting in a director's chair is just as consuming to you, as being on camera and having to act. I bet it takes just a lot of energy out of you, directing tons of people on that movie set.
I bet it's more because the director, you've got to be involved from basically start to finish with the project, involved in everything. Whereas an actor, you get your lines, work on them a little bit. You show up on set, maybe you're there for a couple of weeks, and then you're done.
And
You get to leave.
Robert Redford, he should just stay acting in front of the camera. The world would, miss his nice smile.
Yeah, but he's got nothing else to prove.
I guess.
I mean, he's
I
done
guess
it
so.
all. He's done it all. He doesn't have anything else to prove.
Yeah.
Go enjoy your late 80s or go enjoy the rest of your life. You've made all the money. You've done everything.
And sit back and enjoy your buddy Paul Newman's spaghetti sauce. Make some spaghetti.
I had the worst Paul Newman salad dressing I've ever had.
Really, I didn't think he had bad salad.
I know. It's usually pretty good quality, but I find their Caesar salad to be disgusting. And I thought, let me try the creamy Caesar, because maybe that'll match more of the Caesars that I'm used to. I don't know if it's just 90% anchovy paste or what, but it doesn't taste like any Caesar dressing I've had anywhere else. It's foul. I'd throw out the whole bottle.
Maybe you just got a bad jar of it.
No, I had the regular Caesar and it tasted bad. And then I got the creamy Caesar and I tried it and it was rancid. And then my wife tried it and she agreed, so we tossed the whole thing out.
Oh, that's hard to believe. I have Ken's creamy Caesar.
That's a good dressing right there.
It is, and I have Ken's French dressing too, and ranch chipotle by Ken's.
That's also good. I like Ken's. If I had my choice, it would be Ken's, but I typically go with what's on sale.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever's BOGO or whatever has the deal, that's where I tend to gravitate towards. And Paul Newman's Own, I guess, was on sale, so that's where I went for the Caesar.
Wow.
That's what I get for being cheap.
Wow. But Paul Newman's that can't be very cheap, right? I bet that's like about $4 for the jar at least.
Yeah, but it was on sale.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well then you have to buy it then at that bargain price.
Yeah. 8:55 is the time this morning. Treasure Coast News is next. As parents get their kids ready to go back to school and teachers get ready to meet their new students, the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office is also getting ready for the start of the new school year. WPTV's John Shaman reports.
The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act that was passed by state lawmakers earlier this year requires an officer in every school throughout the state. So this week here on the Treasure Coast, those officers are getting prepared.
Visibility that you provide.
This is the beginning of a full week of training for this year's class of school resource officers and deputies in St. Lucie County.
We are ready.
Sheriff Ken Mascaro says this year, 63 members of law enforcement will be stationed at county schools, up from 23 last year.
We want teachers to be able to go to school and teach and not worry about protecting kids from an active shooter. We want students to go to school and worry about good grades, not guns.
Deputy Jose Angulo is moving to a new role after 5 years on the job.
It's very important for us to be in the community, be there at the schools. I want the parents to feel at ease that we're there.
As a sign of enhanced cooperation among local law enforcement, for the first time in decades, Fort Pierce police officers will also be in city schools.
It means a lot. It's great. It's a great first step, and we're happy to be a part of it.
Officer Fabio Improda says he's a father of two and understands there's a lot to learn.
The message is clear. We're there to protect your children. Okay? When any parent drops off their child, we want to make sure that they know that they're safe.
We need these partners to come forth, be a part of us in schools, because what they're going to witness in schools, what they're going to hear in schools, is what is going on in the community.
Now in St. Lucie County, there will be 2 officers at all of the high schools, like here in Port St. Lucie, starting next week. John Shaman for the Now, South Florida.
It's important for parents to make sure that their kids are up to date on their shots before school starts next week. In St. Lucie County, all kindergartners, 7th graders, plus new and transferring students must provide proof of their immunizations. A Florida Certificate of Immunization, Form DH-680, is the only document accepted by the county. The forms can be obtained through the Florida Department of Health or your primary pediatrician. For more information, head over to stluciecountyhealth.com. And a new survey says Florida is one of the worst states in the union for health care. WalletHub.com compared all of the states and the District of Columbia, and Florida was the 10th worst state in the country. The Sunshine State was 50th out of 51 for the lowest percentage of adults who have health insurance, and 47th in the number of kids with coverage. Florida was also 38th in the percentage of adults who haven't seen a dentist during the past year. The Wallet Hub rankings were based on 40 key measures of healthcare cost, accessibility, and outcome. That's a look at our Treasure Coast news this morning. Let's get one last look at traffic with Bonnie.
Well, the roads are clear. So far, so good, including Federal Highway, and your major highways are good right now. And there is your latest look at traffic.
The studios at WSU. It's Mike and Bonnie this morning. Toyota South Federal Highway Stewards.
The Marlins Baseball starts Monday to Wednesday, Friday, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. The Marlins host the Mets on WSCU. The New York Mets on WPSL play Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. Friday night the 10th. It's the St. Lucie Mets traveling to Clearwater. Out of McDonald's has the call. Next Marlins and ESPN Baseball 2018 is brought to you by Treasure Coast Lexus of Fort Pierce, Treasure Coast Toyota of Stewart, Code Red Roofers, East Air, and the Good Dog Foundation of Mark County on both WPSL and WSTU.
And that's going to do it for us here on this Tuesday morning. Bonnie, have a great day.
You enjoy this nice day ahead. Little rain. Enjoy.
Dr. Tread's up next. You're listening to WSTU Stewart, streaming online, WSTU1450.com.
All right, we'll catch you tomorrow morning, Mike.
See ya.
World peace. Nothing less.